You're looking at live pictures there from the Greek Parliament, where just a few moments ago, the Greek Prime Minister, George Papandreou, has survived the confidence vote. Let's cross over to our correspondent who's standing by in the Greek capital, Athens, Barnaby Phillips. And Barnaby, news just coming in that he's survived this.
He did survive. In the end, he got 153 votes over the magic number of 151. What happened was that the rebels within his own party, the governing Socialist Party, fell back into line, if you like, and he crept over the line just. However, he's given an undertaking that he'll be going to the Greek president, a man called Carlos Papoulias, who normally has a rather symbolic role, later on Saturday, and trying to form a government of national unity. Now, he didn't say, but many people feel that George Papandreou will stand down. He says he's not wedded to the position of Prime Minister, that he won't necessarily head this new government of national unity. That's one big area of conjecture and uncertainty. What happens to George Papandreou now? The other big area of uncertainty is the main opposition party, the party New Democracy, the centre-right party that was in power before George Papandreou and his Socialists got in 2009, led by a man called Antonis Samaras. Samaras released a short statement tonight. He didn't even attend the debate in Parliament. He said that early elections were the only solution for Greece. George Papandreou, of course, had said that early elections would be catastrophic. So, an implication of that is that New Democracy would stay outside a national unity government, and they all voted no tonight, the New Democracy members of Parliament. Well, moving forward a little bit and getting into conjecture, you'd have to say if the main opposition party, because really you're talking about two giant parties in Greek politics and then a cluster of smaller parties, if the main opposition party is staying outside, how valid really is a national unity government? That's a moot point, and I think that will trouble people because there is the potential there for more political uncertainty and a lack of consensus here in Greece. And of course that has repercussions way beyond this small country, which is precisely why we're paying so much attention to tonight's vote.
And Barnaby, as you're saying, the Prime Minister earlier said on Friday that he wasn't particularly interested in staying on in his position. Who would be most likely to take over? Who are the candidates?
There's a few names banding around and a lot of speculation. I think one man who we can assume would like to be the new Prime Minister is the Finance Minister, Venizelos, the man who spoke last in that whole debate. A very ambitious man. Many Greeks will remember in 2007, I was based here at the time, he made a rather audacious bid to take over the PASOK party, the Socialist party, from George Papandreou at that time. We can assume he still harbours prime ministerial ambitions. There are other alternatives. People have been talking about more technocratic characters, more apolitical characters, if you like, people who might be more acceptable across the party spectrum, if you like, because Venizelos is a much more partisan figure. So those are the two directions in which people are looking in terms of potential new prime ministers of Greece.
Barnaby, and you know, at the heart of all of this, at the core of it really, is that Greece needs the EU bailout money because it is effectively going to run out of cash in just over a month if it doesn't get that money. So is there time really to start setting up this national unity government? How long will it take?
Well, we don't know how long it will take. It will depend on how quickly politicians can agree with each other. But that was the thrust of George Papandreou's speech, that there wasn't the time for elections, there wasn't even maybe the resources for elections, that Greece could not afford that distraction because it needs the next tranche of EU bailout money so very urgently. So, yeah, the implication of what you're saying is absolutely right. It would be in Greece's best interest that whatever negotiations start tomorrow, Saturday, are wrapped up as quickly and is in as consensual a manner as quickly as possible. But and obviously that's what politicians watching in Berlin, in Brussels, in Paris, in Washington, in London, indeed in Rome, will be hoping. But will the Greek politicians deliver on that? We'll just have to wait and see.
And Barnaby, I was watching you a few hours ago, actually, just outside the Greek parliament. At the time, there were demonstrations going on by Greeks before that vote was set to take place. What's going on right now? And I wonder if you can gauge how Greeks themselves feel about this confidence vote that has now been won by the Greek Prime Minister.
It's a little bit early. It's a cold night here in Athens, and the crowds outside Parliament have dispersed. And I'm supposing that people are, clustered around televisions across the city and across the country and digesting what this means. I think, unfortunately, there is an awful lot of cynicism and distrust and suspicion about politicians, and the ruling Socialist Party have had a pretty rough time of it over the past 2 years. Their own popularity is right down. The clear implication of where tonight's debate and result has taken us is that same ruling Socialist Party will, in some form, dominate a new government of national unity. Well, that's not going to make people terribly excited or terribly happy. However, the sad truth is that I don't think people were terribly excited either at the possibility of the main opposition party, New Democracy, coming back into power. I think many people still blame them for the mess which the Socialists inherited in 2009. And this really gets to the root of the problem, that Greece is being asked to implement extraordinary reforms, very severe reforms, with a population that's somewhere between truculent and rebellious, take your pick, and without a lot of faith in the people who are leading them. And I'm not sure that tonight's drama, or indeed the drama of the last week, has changed those fundamentals.
All right, Barnaby Phillips, live from Athens. Thank you very much, Barnaby.